In this video, I'm going to teach you the most common 3 beginner gardening mistakes and how to avoid them. My name is Ken, my degree is in horticulture, and I write about gardening in a weekly newsletter called The Plot. Gardening is a rewarding practice and a lifelong passion for many, and if you're just starting out, then you have a lot to learn. Today, we're going to talk about 3 common beginner mistakes, but don't worry, my goal is not to scare you away. Instead, I'll help you learn how to avoid these mistakes. Stay with me until the end because the third option is the most surprising. So, I'm a firm believer that everybody should join a community garden at some point. They're a great way for you to learn from other gardeners, and each garden is a patchwork quilt of beautiful gardens of everybody growing their own type of food or flower that they find interesting. They're a great way for you to meet experienced gardeners, and if you live in an apartment, they're a great option for getting out there when you don't have a piece of land of your own. Even if you do have your own yard, you can go to the community garden and meet people that will help you learn how to garden when you're first starting out. So I think that they're a great resource. And if your city doesn't have a community garden, then maybe that's your call to go start your own. It's not impossible, and I think that they're just a great option for anybody who's first starting out. When you're first starting to learn to garden, you should join a botanical society or some sort of community, read a newsletter about gardening. These are good ways to build community, and that community is going to help you learn faster and learn to grow when you're starting to learn to garden. When you first join a botanical society, you're going to meet people pretty quick because we all have very similar interests. These groups are going to help teach you things that you didn't know you had questions to. Just meeting the people and forming that community is going to keep you going for longer, keep you more engaged. Essentially, if you go on a walk around your neighborhood, you probably have a yard that's your favorite to walk past with a beautiful garden. Next time you're out there, somebody may be working in it, and you should just stop and say hello, tell them that you love their garden. It'll probably make their weeks. That's a good way to go out there and just meet your neighbors, because gardening as a practice is a highly localized act. The person down the street is going to have a lot more information for you than a blog or a YouTube video even, and that person will tell you what to look out for or be able to share plants and seeds with you. That's why you should just introduce yourself, and once you start going out and gardening in your own yard or at a community garden, people will start to come up to you and ask you questions and talk, and those relationships are really what will make you a good gardener in the long term. This is a new channel, and if you've gotten this far and you've learned something new, I'd really appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribed to the channel so that you can learn more and keep growing with us. Not understanding growing conditions is something that trips up a lot of gardeners. And if we would just read the plant tags, I think that we would do pretty well. Because on the plant tag, you'll typically have how much sun it needs, what type of soil it prefers, and the spacing. And this plant tag can tell you a lot about how to grow the plant, just the basics of figuring out where it's going to be best in the long term will help you to grow the plant better. This sort of thing, just doing the basics and not planting it wherever you feel like, and thinking more about the plant and where the plant wants to be is going to make you a better gardener. Basically the same as opening something from IKEA and trying to build it without reading the instructions. On the plant tag, you may see something where it says it prefers full sun, part sun, or shade. Now, full sun is typically more than 6 hours of sunlight, and in the northern hemisphere, this will be on a south-facing exposure because you're looking towards the equator. Meanwhile, part sun will be 3 to 6 hours of sunlight, and shade is about 3 hours of sunlight. In that case, it would be the northern exposure of your house perhaps has the most shady area, and that's a great place to put something like an ostrich fern or some type of fern shade-loving plant that you can't really put elsewhere. Meanwhile, the sun spots will be best reserved for vegetable gardens or fruit crops because they need a lot of sun in order to put that into the fruits or vegetables that you are hoping to eat. Spacing, another example of reading the plant tag,
which I know is hard for all of us.
But spacing, you may see that you should put something, say, 5 feet apart, and that means, 5 feet total from plant to plant. And the reason why is because it goes about half from the center on each side. But the spacing is more important for trees and shrubs, because trees and shrubs are a little bit more permanent and you don't want them really overcrowding each other and growing into each other, because it will create problems long term. It can lead to disease and just look really unsightly. Meanwhile, with herbaceous plants like flowers, cone flowers, that type of thing, it's okay to kind of ignore the spacing and put them closer together, because they will start to grow together and look really nice if that's what you're going for. So it really is dependent on what you're growing and what you're going for, but I would stick to it more for trees and shrubs. Pay attention, because otherwise they're going to be growing together in about 3 years. And spacing in general, you want to give your plants about 3 years if you're doing ornamentals to grow in and be able to be complete. Because if you look at it in 1 year and you say this looks too empty, it just needs more time to grow. I'm a firm believer that the only difference between a beginner gardener and an experienced gardener is that experienced gardeners have killed more plants. Now, if killing plants was a crime, many of us gardeners would be locked up for war crimes by now. These plants, killing more plants is important because it means that you're biting off more than you can chew and you're learning, and you're not going to make the same mistakes again later. I would much prefer if you go out and you try something new and it dies. The truth is that you're going to be the only one who notices. You know, your neighbor's not paying attention to say, oh, I thought they planted a black-eyed Susan there, where'd it go? You're going to be the only one who notices, and it's going to help you learn and become a better gardener faster. So don't be afraid to kill more plants. And on that note, I absolutely adore orchids, but I have killed every orchid I've ever owned. I have to live with that, but it was a good learning experience. Most people will tell you to start small, but I say that you should go big. If you're thinking that you want to plant a garden and maybe a little small area is a good place to start, just extend it a little bit more than you're comfortable, because gardeners are builders by nature. Because of this, I think that we really yearn to build something beautiful, and you should really just go for it. You're going to learn from those mistakes, from those plants that you kill. It's going to be just a good teaching lesson for you and help you to do better next year. Because every year in spring, you get to hit a reset button and start over, and whatever did well last year is going to continue into this year. Meanwhile, those plants that die or those mistakes get washed away and you can start again. Gardening as an act actually is counterintuitive to our current modern society. Right now, our modern society rewards dopamine chasing and instant gratification. Meanwhile, gardening rewards patience and punishes instant gratification. It really means that you have to put in the time to see a future vision and follow it through. Don't get caught up trying to just get an instant result. Instead, you should do your best just to be patient, think about the future plan, and put in the effort now, so maybe even you won't enjoy it, but somebody one day will enjoy the shade of the tree that you planted. Now, I know this video is about how to avoid these mistakes, but it's not the end of the world if you slip up. I've made all of these mistakes, and in reality, I was the only one who noticed. Joining a gardening club, understanding your site, and killing more plants, that's a great place for you to start. So keep learning and follow this channel, and most importantly, read the newsletter if you want to learn the basics of gardening and growing your own food. Did you learn something?
I am learning something.
Yeah.